Identify risks due to aging, income, estate or probate administration, taxes, and health costs. Those are pretty, they're general, but they encapsulate pretty much everything you need to be looking at. Income, you want to make sure in any planning that you do that your income is recognized as paramount. Really during retirement years, you really aren't concerned about assets or where it's invested necessarily. I mean, you don't want to go down or anything, but what you want is the income to do what you want to do. You want that cash flow to provide a lifestyle that you want. And so the income is where you need to look at. You want to make sure there's no loss in value. That has to do with where you've invested. I am not an investment advisor, so that's your job to seek out a good investment advisor. But I can tell you without question that that's a concern, because many clients come to us and they've lost 20%, 30% because a financial advisor said, oh, it'll come back. Well, excuse me, we have a timeline to deal with here. And so you probably need to be more conservative and not expose as much as you used to with respect to the market and having the ability to lose it. Longevity is an issue now with a lot of people. In other words, do I have enough money to last my whole life? Because we're living longer. The age group of the highest age population is over 85. That's the rate of highest growth in that age group. So we are all living longer as a nation, and that's wonderful, but the planning has to represent that. Number two is the probate and estate administration. I always prefer, and most of my clients prefer, a private administration. A public administration is in probate court. Okay? And probate court goes back many years to merry old England and English common law, and it was a way to collect money from the deceased to pay the bills. Okay, we really don't need that system very much anymore, and so usually families are very well informed and can handle the estate, but you have to do a plan to make it private. It doesn't. If you do nothing, it's all public estate. Anyone that goes down the probate court can look up whatever you had in the estate and so on. So you do have to do planning to make it a private estate.
Don?
Yes, sir.
A question has come up for us is to name an executor of the estate.
Yes?
What happens if you need an executor who's not an Ohio resident?
If the executor is not an Ohio resident, the executor of the will is not an Ohio resident, the court will appoint an Ohio resident, usually an attorney, a probate attorney, to be the representative of that fiduciary within the state. And the reason for that is the court wants to get their hands on somebody if the estate's not being administered properly. If the executor, the fiduciary, is living in the state, they got their hands on it. All right, let's go on to taxes. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on income tax except to say income tax is really relevant if you have a retirement account like an IRA or 401k or a 403b in the government realm and so on. And because you want to look to those retirement accounts first, and those will generate income tax. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Estate taxes. In the state of Ohio, we are one of 15 states that remain having an estate tax. States like California and Florida do not have an estate tax. They have other taxes, okay, but they don't have a estate tax. And ours is not a great deal. It's 7%. We'll get into what it is in just a minute, but we do have to do a plan for that. Now, the federal government in 2010 had zero estate tax. You're probably all aware of that. And January 1, 2011, it comes back with a vengeance. High health costs, chronic illness or severe disability, whether the care is at home or in an institution, is the greatest drain on your income you'll have during retirement. So it seems to me in planning, you want to look at the risk factors and you want to plan to protect yourself against those risk factors as much as you can. And that's what I mean by disability planning. So that you need to have some component of your plan that says, okay, if I get sick, or if my wife gets sick, or my spouse, then we've got this to cover, maybe 60% of that cost, and then our income can cover the rest. So it's really important. We're going to talk about it